Hey guys, how are you? Andy Suku, founder and CEO of Y2K Credit Solutions. It's been a while since I did a video in the office on the whiteboard. So I have some topics I want to talk to you guys about, and we're going to do that on the whiteboard later on in some other videos. But today's video that I want to speak to you guys about necessarily does not need to be on a whiteboard because I have the documents in my hands and I'm going to show it to you. And this video is about judgments. We've been talking about judgments quite often from the midway of this year towards the end of the year. We're letting you guys know that judgments are being enforced every week. We probably have literally over 5-6 clients with judgments that are coming into our office, and all of them have the same story, right? They have the same understanding because they were told that once the debt's charged off, they don't have to pay it, and everyone is telling them that. They've seen that on social media and TikTok, and we're the only company out there, including the banks, that are telling you guys that is not true. You still have a responsibility to the debt. And right before the statute of limitation comes about or comes to an end on that debt, it turns into a judgment. And judgments are renewable for 10 years. So the first 10 years, the judgment is issued. Then if it's not resolved, right before it gets expired, it's renewed for another 10 years again, right? And which is the case in all of these judgments that we've been talking about. And like I said, every week we have about 5-6 new judgments in our office. Clients that have judgments that we are resolving for them. So, and in any state, in different states, they're not necessarily in New York, they're in Georgia, they're in Texas, they're in California, Wisconsin. We have a judgment in Wisconsin. That was a story to tell you guys about one day. I'll tell you guys about that. But let's get into this judgment. And there's a little backstory about this judgment, actually, that we're going to talk about. So let's get into it, right? This client she used to live in Georgia, right? She used to live in, I'll tell you exactly where. Oakshire Way, Atlanta, Georgia. I don't know what that is, but it's in Atlanta. And she has 2 judgments back to back. So what that means is that, sorry, let me rephrase that. She has 2 lawsuits back to back. One is already in judgment. The second one is pending once the first one gets resolved. So as you know, there cannot be 2 judgments against you back to back. One has to be resolved, then another one goes into effect, right? So one judgment here is for Bank of America. I'll put this up here, my finger. My finger is going to point out here. You guys can see this. Bank of America for the amount of $6,245.19. That's one judgment, right? This was issued on, this was in court, got entered into court on 5/9/2024. I'll show you that date right there. You guys can see that right there? Right here. So you see the date, see the docket number and so forth, right? Then the second judgment, the second lawsuit, which is a totally different attorney, it's same thing in Atlanta, Georgia. This one is for $6,019.34, and this one is from Bank of America. I'm going to show you this one. Now, you see this cover right there? You guys see that? This cover. Okay. No case number yet. That's because it's not entered into court as of yet, because there is a pending judgment for Bank of America. Now, 2 judgments, 2 lawsuits, 1 active judgment, 1 pending within the matter of 3 months, right? So one was in May. This cover came into court suit in August. So 2 judgments. Now here's the backstory about how these judgments came about, right? The client lives in Georgia, used to live in Georgia, had residence there, work there, whatever the case may be, open credit cards and whatnot, right? So the client was living in Atlanta. Then they moved to Brooklyn, New York. So they no longer live in Atlanta. They sold their home and they moved to New York, Brooklyn. So the last address, because the account was open in Georgia, in Atlanta, that's where these judgments originated from. Here's the craziest story about this. The client, when we spoke to the client, we took the client's case, we asked her, did you know about these debts? Yes. they're on your credit report because we did a consultation with her. We're like, these debts are on your credit report. But also, we told the client when we're in the middle of the consultation, we asked her, did you have someone else work on your credit prior to coming to Y2K? And she said yes. And again, we see those things because when we're doing a consultation with our client, anyone in our firm does a consultation with our clients, we are running your social in the back end of the credit bureaus to see if you have any public record. That's how we know. Then, and also we're running it to see who else worked on your credit, because every time you send a letter to the credit bureaus or you send an affidavit or a police report, it's attached to your profile. It stays there, right? So you can see all the history of prior work done on the credit report. And more so, we ask clients that because if we have one ounce of inclination that you're lying or you're trying to do something fraudulent, we're not going to take your case. I've done a video about that already and our policy procedures and the grounds that we stand on when it comes to that. So we hope our clients are always telling us the truth. Okay, so someone did work on this client's credit before. The client told us that they went to a home buying seminar at the Brooklyn Bank in New York. And they were there, and there was someone there, a representative there, talking about credit and how they fix credit. Once she said that, I already knew who the person was. And I know what event they were talking about. I wasn't there, but I know the event. And the thing is that I asked her, I'm like, why would you go work with someone that's not even a company? It's just an individual person working on credit. Why would you do that? She said they told her that she didn't have to pay the debts back. She doesn't have to pay any debt back. Everything can get wiped out. And well, you know, surely and so she believed it and she went along with it. Now, the company or the service that she used obviously did a fraud affidavit and a police report, submitted it to the credit bureaus, and these debts came off for 30 days, and then it came back on 30 days after. Once that happened, and the affidavit went to the original creditors, Bank of America and Discover, Bank of America and Discover decided not to pursue any more collection efforts, just send it to a lawyer, outside lawyer, and obtain a judgment. That's what happened here now. That's why the client's in the situation. Now the client is in New York. Total debt's $12,000 plus interest, right? $6,019 on Discover, $6,200 on Bank of America, with 12% interest accumulating on the debt for Bank of America that's already in court. That already has an index number to it. And let me show you that index number here. 1 second. And you can see the court's information and so forth. I'm putting it this way because I can't show you all the client's information. The client didn't even want us to put their name on the video, but it did allow us to use the document as content. So you can see here, docket number. You see the courts, Georgia. And one thing with Y2K, you know, anytime we talk about a video or a client situation or a case that we're working on, we're showing you proof. That's why we always say trust but verify. A lot of people out here are telling you all these frivolous information and get you into a situation, and now you're in a bigger situation. When you try to call them to resolve it, they're not answering their phones. So judgment got issued. The client has one in judgment, one pending, and it's accumulating interest. Now here's the thing. It gets more costly on the client now because she lives in New York. She does not want to go to Georgia to self-represent herself. She comes to us. We're going to take the case. But now we have to send it to one of our attorneys in Georgia to handle. Now it gets costly with attorney fees. As you know, some attorney fees are $350 an hour, retainers are $3,500. These things get costly. But if the client would have just fixed this the right way, because she knows she has an obligation to this debt, and she knows that she used the money, and she knows the debt was around, and she knows when he went to charge off, if she had just resolved it, she would have saved herself a ton of money. Right, and not end up in a judgment. Now, if she doesn't resolve this, this first judgment, her bank account is going to get frozen, or they're going to send a wage garnishment to her employer. They can't do a lien against a property because she's renting. She doesn't own a property. All right, so this video is just to educate you guys and get you guys up to speed with judgments and let you guys know that the end of the year is coming. You're going to see a whole lot more judgments being enforced. Because every year statute of limitation comes to an end on the debt, and these creditors are not just letting it slide. If you have a judgment, you have a question, you live in any other state, we can resolve judgments in any states that you live in. So if you have questions, comment, drop it below, and I'll try to answer it for you guys. But if you're in this situation, give us a call, 516-568-4541, and we can assist you in getting out of it. Talk to you guys soon. Have a good day.